where we will cover how we solve this problem with next generation secure SD-WAN for remote users. Let's start by meeting our presenters today. I'm Rachna Srivastava, Senior Director of Product Marketing here at Infiot. And we also have with us Fan Gu, who's the Head of Product Management here at Infiot. Before we continue, let's learn a little bit about our company. Infiot was founded by the early employees of VeloCloud, a company which was bought by VMware and that pioneered SD-WAN. We're also proud to have achieved many recognitions and awards since we started, and we have backing of some of the top tier 1 investors in the Silicon Valley. As we proceed, let's take a look at some of our housekeeping. We are giving away 2 $100 Visa gift cards at the end of the webinar. We will draw winners post-webinar, and thank you everybody for attending. We'll draw the winners post-webinar, and the winners will be notified by email. We will have all our attendees muted. So any questions that you have, please enter in the panel box via chat, and our panelists will be replying to you live in the chat session. So let's not spend any more time on this, and let's go ahead and get started. So what we are seeing is hybrid work is the new remote work. Whether you are coming up with a policy for remote employees, or you're thinking about employees who will be in a hybrid situation, what we find is employees want to work from home at least some of the times. A recent survey by PwC shows that employees are interested in working anywhere from 2 to 3 days a week, and the remaining time they want to come into the office. So the same survey also talks about executives who are looking to change their real estate strategy as they come into 2022 to accommodate working from home. We also find that 61% of the CFOs are saying that they plan to make remote work permanent where possible. And in 2021, we will see at least 35% of remote workers who are now permanent. So what we find is no matter where we look or what types of statistics we look at, we're finding two emerging trends: the ability to work from home, as well as the ability to enable hybrid work. Companies are also offering permanent work from anywhere options where possible. Now, the pandemic enabled the technology supporting work from home. But the new world where we have this hybrid environment and we want to maintain a consistent experience both in the office and at home, that still needs some work. Just in our own area, we see a few IT challenges. We see IT managers and directors complaining and CIOs complaining about some of these problems. A lot of them are saying that the remote workers are vulnerable to attacks, and a lot of times IT doesn't have full control on all the security. Many times they don't have enough skilled IT staff to onboard, offboard, as well as track enterprise resources and users. More often than not, we see employees complaining about dropped calls, poor video calls, just poor experience throughout when they work from home. Another challenge we see is IT is tired of managing multiple OS versions across remote users. A lot of times users are bringing their own devices, managing their versions, keeping sure they are on the latest OS updates, the latest security patches, etc. It's extremely challenging. And the biggest one that we see happening is IT always saying they don't have visibility into end user traffic. How do you manage distributed employees? How do you manage employees who suddenly decide that they're going to head over to Hawaii and work from Hawaii for a month? And just getting all of that visibility into users, their experience, and managing that is becoming more and more challenging. Now, there are some options available today, but they are very, very limited. These options are available to connect home users and micro branches. We're using existing technology to make it work for the home user, whether it's SD-WAN or VPNs to connect remote users and branches. There are many challenges. Scalability is a problem. These solutions are expensive and complex. These solutions were designed for a branch office and are not meant to be for a home user. A lot of times, cloud-based solutions offer superior mid-mile connectivity, But the last mile is still dependent on a VPN connection that's dependent on the internet at the end of the day. And so your experience is still not good. And that is why we see more and more users facing problems around connectivity, application performance. A lot of times they're left to do DIY type SDN solutions or compromise between app performance and ability to offer advanced services in a very simple, scalable, clean manner is simply not available today. Whether we want to even bring in some basic SD-WAN principles of single link remediation, very difficult to do in the solutions that are available today. So what are some of the options? Let's ask Fan, how do we, what are some of the things to think about as we're considering solutions that might have a better promise? Fan, over to you.
Thank you, Rashna, and thanks everyone who joined the webinar. So basically, when we are looking at the landscape of today's solution, the ideal solution we're looking for, right, for the new remote workforce are trying to simplify and eliminate some pain points. The first one we're looking at is the day zero operations, right? The OS management. So today, the workers at home, they have different OS, Windows, Apple, you name it. And also people bring their own devices into the network, whether it's managed or unmanaged. And when it comes to the day two operations, when there is an upgrade, you are all over again, have to manage all these different OS and the different devices. It's very difficult to troubleshoot in the meanwhile. And also it lacks visibility. So the IT, they don't have visibility into how the user are using the network, how the traffic is flowing, right? What is the quality of those? So these are all lacking in the current solutions. So the ideal solution we are looking for, not just work, but also scale and should be simple. So that's why we're looking at the solution that should be just one single management for not just the remote workers, but also the branches, not segmented. And also from the remote worker perspective, when you think of worker at home, they could have a wired connectivity, but also sometimes they may not have, especially for those who may want to work in a secondary room, that may not have a cable connecting to it. So Wi-Fi as WAN is one of the things that we think is important for the home workers.
So Fan, how does Wi-Fi as WAN work?
So Wi-Fi as WAN, basically you think of right now we connect our laptop to the home Wi-Fi, right, via our home SSID. But with this new solution, the user should, like the new device or the new cloud managed device should also connect to the home router via the WAN without running a wire across the rooms.
So I don't need to rechange or reconfigure anything that's in my home setup. I can leave that as is and just connect a home edge for my corporate network to this home router.
Exactly. Very simple, right? It should be portable, and should not interrupt any current connections. It should be easy to insert.
And one more question on, I see here we talk about zero touch provisioning. How would that work in a home environment?
Yeah. So you think of today the branches, right? When people come to the SD-WAN world, where the device will send to the site, and then the network admin will enable where the zero touch provision to enable this branch. Just click on the email. Same for the same experience for the home users. For the solution, there should be the branch. The remote worker home is a new branch, but in a more portable way. But the user experience for the provisioning should be very similar, right? Like me, I'm an employee and I bring the device to my home. I should be just able to connect to the Wi-Fi and then click on the activation email. And then my home office should be online right away. So without any staging, right? No serial numbers, connectivities, no call to the IT folks. So this should be very easy to enable.
And that'll save IT a lot of time because even if they want to ship a home device, that doesn't interfere with customers' existing home network, and basically allows corporate policies to go straight through this home edge that has been sent, bringing it up. They don't need to send any skilled personnel. An employee should be able to set it up by themselves without really too many complications.
Yeah, exactly. That's the point.
Yeah, that's really good. I think that's something that at least I'm finding more and more customers are more interested in adopting, so they don't interfere with what's already in their employees' home office or home environment.
Yeah, the other thing it saves is also different devices, right? You don't, as in this solution, the the IT folks should not need to worry what is the OS behind the home edge, right? All they care about should be the identity. If the user is authorized to use the network, that's all.
Yeah, and I think current solutions, if they are trying to get all of this going, that whole process I think is pretty complicated. So getting something as straightforward as open up from the box, click on an email, connect, and you're good to go. I think that's definitely a win. So let's move on to the next one, which is productivity needs to be assured because these employees are now coming into the office as well as working from home.
Yeah. These days, yeah, when you think of bringing a laptop at home, right, you connect to the Zoom calls, you connect to Microsoft Teams or Office 365. A lot of times with the home network, the this broadband network, you are actually at the mercy of the quality of your carrier, right?
Yes.
When there is the internet congestion, then your call may get dropped. If it is an important call or students who studying, the call to, get dropped is definitely impacting the productivity. So that's something that we the solution should support to ensure that the application performance is guaranteed throughout the whole work cycle.
Yeah, I see that a lot of times. It's that time of the day where everyone's on the network, and we're on an important call that's a video call. A lot of times that ends up being very choppy, and it just is not a good experience for anyone. And then we end up dropping that call, or we'll say let's jump on to the voice piece
Yeah.
only. So we have a solution that makes sure these voice video calls quality is kept up, even though there may be others using the same network. I think that's a huge plus. And I think, what about utilizing integrated cellular? How does that work?
Sure. Yeah. So a lot of times your broadband it may just work well, right? But sometimes the broadband can go blackout. We have seen a lot of times, right? Your carrier, local carrier, Xfinity, basically they can regionally go blackout. In that case, if you're still on a very important call, you want to use LTE instead. So in that case, for those workers, then having a backup LTE is very critical. And the solution that the ideal solution should have this capability as well, so that you have redundancy embedded.
And the other one that I'm seeing here is single link remediation. Now that we come from the SD-WAN background, we understand the value of it. But let's say someone did not have, they only had one link to work with. What is the relevance of single link remediation?
Yeah, when there is only one link, right, you could run into packet loss or jitter in that link. And then in that case, what we wanted to ensure is that with the packet loss, reasonable packet loss and jitter, you can still recover the link. So at the end of the day, when the user is on the call, they should not be able to notice that there has been a link degree in the network.
Right. And so we maintain the quality.
Right.
That's again extremely useful. And again, all of these policies can only be applied to the home worker through which the home edge is being used. It doesn't have to come in the way of any other family members who are doing their job or might be streaming movies, etc. It doesn't interfere with anything that they're doing. This is a completely you have a completely segmented network essentially.
Yeah. At home, in a home environment, right? You have your family. That's another good point. You have a family members on your side. You should be able to still work with the best performance, and also be totally isolated from the home family entertainment usage,
Yeah,
network usage.
that's awesome. So yeah, simple, full-featured SD-WAN, complete visibility, being able to manage policies, what applications should be prioritized for who. I think that's extremely key, which brings us to our third thing that's useful for remote users or micro branch environments, which is how do we reduce risk? That's a big one. Everybody talks about security. People think the remote users are secure, but there's always risk that needs to be reduced. And also we want to integrate zero trust now. That's starting to become more and more relevant. So demystify zero trust for us, Pan.
Yeah, so basically, traditionally, we look at the VPN, right? When the worker is authenticated and they are on the network and they can access everything. So me as an employee, I got on my VPN and I can access the engineering resources. I can access the sales resources, which is not secure anymore, right? Given the people can be everywhere. It's not really like they are not gated by the
Yeah.
the office anymore. So and other people may just take advantage of that as well. So that's why like zero trust, we are looking at who is accessing what, right? It should be the right people, right identity accessing the right resources. Very simple example, the engineering team, they may access the GitHub, but they should not access the sales information from the sales force. Similar for the sales folks, they should be able to access Salesforce to do their work, but they should not access any engineering resources. So that's where we wanted to enforce the security at the zero trust manner.
Yeah. And in the absence of which, when it's just VPN connecting in, you basically are opening up, and you're trusting everybody coming into the VPN, and they then have full access to your entire backend, an entire suite of applications.
Yeah.
With zero trust, I guess what we're doing is we're making sure it's not a allow all. It's by users, by context, by policy, and by identity of those users.
Yeah.
The other thing, I think solutions, we kind of take it for granted, but a lot of times we'll see many IT admins, they've gone through great lengths and difficulty to, enable multi-factor authentication. And, it's important to call out that multi-factor authentication is a part of sort of a fortified or a robust security policy, but not everything. Even with multi-factor authentication, you're still bringing the users into your entire network unless you start putting rules and policies that utilize zero trust. Would that make sense, Van?
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. So that we have heard people talking about, I have security, I have zero trust, and what is it? When peeling the onion, they say there's a multi-factor authentication, but actually that's just part of this entire zero trust, right? Basically that, and also to go beyond, the traditional security features are still there, and then it should be used with at different use cases, such as stateful firewall, content filtering, or IPS, IDS, right? So when it's necessary, then all of them should be able to be enabled.